Hey, we're live. Awesome. Welcome. All right. So we'll get started in just a few minutes. Today, I want to talk about um the life of a coach. That's what I want to talk about. So if you enter the room, please go ahead and say hello. And let me just ask you because I'm trying to do these lives when I know that you're getting off from work. And my hopes is that, and what I want to ask you is, how was your day? And give me just 1 second here. I forgot to turn on the light. Okay, there we go. That should be better. All right. So let's see here. I want to check out and see. Okay. Let's give it one more minute. All right. All right. So here's what I want to ask you is how was your day? And when I ask that question, I don't mean it because I know, you can put it in the chat how your day was, but I'm really asking about how did you take care of yourself today? Because too often, and especially if you're in the field that I'm in, which is the helping profession, or if you're someone who take care of whether it's your children, your parents, or you actually where you may not get paid, but for those of you who do also get paid for your job, you're taking care of other individuals. Hi, welcome. You're taking care of other individuals, and the question is a really honest question about how did you take care of yourself today? Because too often we don't take care of ourselves, and so you'll see me asking that question whenever I go live or if it's in a video, and I actually want you to, you can share it in the chat how your day was and how did you take care of yourself, but also I want you to ask yourself that. And if you forget to ask it when you get home, when you're leaving the job or you're able to have time for yourself. If you can't ask yourself that until you go to bed, that's what you end up doing is right before you go to bed, ask yourself that question. How did I take care of myself today? All right. And so today I want to talk about the life of coaching. And one of the reasons why I decided to my first week of going live, and I decided that I wanted this to be our topic that we discuss. One of the reasons why is often I hear people struggling through certain things. Like, for instance, I work with individuals who, like I said, are helping professionals who will stress, and stress builds right on top of each other. Those different stressors, they begin to build on top of each other. And it can either lead to what we call burnout, which most of us know about is the burnout, but it also can lead to compassion fatigue, which is something you see that happens most for individuals who are helping professionals. And compassion fatigue, it's where the heart, and I'm gonna just give you this definition because I go a little more in detail when I'm doing like my courses and my classes or my workshops. But I'm gonna give you a light answer to what compassion fatigue is, and just listen to what the word says: compassion, and then fatigue. So your heart, the hope may be not gone, but it's beginning to dwindle, or you don't see the hope for, because you've seen the problems happen over and over, and you haven't seen individuals, bounce back from it. That resilience that we talk about, that bounce back factor. And so with compassion fatigue, the individual who is the helper, who is providing the service, is meeting with so many clients that or individuals, it can be a teacher also that have students that are that need help. And so what happens is we become tired of seeing them, trying to get through the same problem and we're not able to help them or we feel that we're not helping them. And so the heart becomes tired. And that's the way I define it, is that the heart becomes tired. And so a lot of times what happens is they don't realize that coaches are have work in different areas, and a lot of time coaches can be the ones to help you to find that bounce back factor. And so that's why I decided today I wanted to talk about coaching. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them in the chat area also. So coaching is, and I'm gonna, share what I wrote down here, is that, coaches help people to grow into their highest potential as human beings. What does that mean? So, therapists, so that world of providing therapy, the way that I look at that is when I'm doing that work or I have done that work in the past, that I'm helping individuals to reach back in their past and to begin to explore and find out how that past is influencing the way they're functioning today. But another thing that a therapist does is that if they will diagnose, and if they're diagnosing the individual and the symptoms that an individual has. Whereas with coaching, we're not diagnosing symptoms. We're not diagnosing what has happened in your past. We're not going that deep into the past. What we're doing is we know the past is influenced. There's a chance that the past is influencing what's happening today for you. But what we're focusing on is how to help you to move forward in whatever that is. But remember, there's no diagnosing. If you want to call coaching diagnosing, they're diagnosing the how to get you to your future. So a lot of times what we do in coaching is that we'll ask, 6 months from now, how would you like your life to be? Because that's going to inform how we create a coaching plan for you and begin to take the journey on the goals that you have set, because we do a lot of working around goals and helping you to set goals. Because again, and I'm gonna look at my notes here again, which is that we help people grow into their highest potential as human beings. So as a coach, we're looking to help you to grow, to be that person that you saw or you see that you want to be in 6 months or in a year. Okay. And so we're working on those day to day things that you may have to deal with in your life that are getting in the way of you getting there. And so a lot of times coaches will help you to figure out how to get over that, how to get around it, how to go over whatever that issue is, that barrier that is coming up. And so a lot of times I say, I want to get you over that barrier, because the barrier, is not something that you may be able to knock down. But the idea here is how can we get you past it so that you can reach that goal that you want to reach. And so that's what we're looking at. So I have a couple of reasons, and especially for me, why I like the idea. And you're going to see me looking, I'm going to be looking down every now and then, looking at my paper that I have my few notes on. And so the first reason why I think that as individuals, we may want to seek out coaching. And let me just say this. I know a lot of times we think of coaches, that there are coaches out there who have no training, no, and may not know what they do. But I want you to also remember there are coaches that pour their hearts into the work that they do as coaches, because they have a passion and they really want to help individuals. My background is in clinical psychology, and I'll hear other coaches say, well, I don't have a background like Cheryl has. Well, but that's okay. If you don't have a background, let's talk about your life experience and how you have taken that and you've learned something that you want to teach to someone else. And you may hear therapists, because I know in my training, often I will hear individuals say, you don't want to be a coach, you want to be a therapist. Well, I decided I that once I finished all of that training, all of those hours in providing therapy, that I didn't wanna be a therapist. I wanted to work with individuals around different, um issues that I see women having to deal with. And that's what I'm enjoying doing in my life. And that's what I did even as a professor. We have a field in human services that's called psychosocial rehabilitation. Well, pretty much that's mental wellness coaches. These are individuals who learn about the different things that I've learned about mental wellness and mental health, and they're using it, but they're using it as coaches. So there's so many different ways, that individuals can define themselves as a coach. I define myself as a mental wellness and resilience coach because I do a lot around mental wellness, but I also like to help people bounce back from any things that they have handled or had to handle or deal with in life. And I also look at it as them, thriving forward. And so, interesting, I am a coach and compassion fatigue is so true. Yes, it is. And let me just tell you that coaches can experience compassion fatigue also. Why? Because coaches are in the helping profession as well. And I'll just tell you that I love being a coach to coaches. It's just like in my training to become a therapist, to a clinical psychologist, I had clients who were therapists, who were becoming therapists, and I loved working with them, and I love the fact that I have to go dig deeper in asking questions. So I want to jump into the 8 reasons people hire a coach. And the first one, and I'm only going to go over, I think I'll only go over 4 this time because I don't want this live to be too long because if you're just getting off from work, I do want you to go and relax. I'm hoping that some of you are not watching me, but if you have me on in your car, like I do with YouTube, I turn it on in my car, connect my phone to my speaker, and I listen to certain individuals on YouTube. So if you're doing that, I don't want to keep it long because I want you to be able to get home and relax and do the things that you need to do and take care of yourself. So the first one is to achieve a goal. That Let me see. Reason one, to achieve a goal individuals have been unable to achieve on their own. So individuals who want to reach a goal, but they cannot figure out how to get there. That's one of the things that a coach can do. Right now, I do a lot of coaching with individuals who are first time college students who are getting their master's or getting their doctorate. I will, coach them through even their homework. If they get stuck on their homework or they are not they're feeling like I can't complete, my thesis or my dissertation. So I provide them coaching so that they can keep going and reach that degree, especially because I know if you're a first time individual in your family who's reaching for that particular goal, you may not have many people that are able to see, that experience and see what it takes to get to that point. So with individuals, what I've done in the past is I've sat with them and literally they will read their homework and they understand it, but somehow because of the stress and the emotions, because they're putting so much of their energy into the fact that they want this degree. So a lot of times what they do is the emotions get in the way and it's stopping them from reaching that first, second, third goal, which is just get the homework done or just get your chapter 2 done, or something like that. And so I'll work with them, read the prompt that their teacher has given them, and then help them to understand it through their lens by asking them questions. What will you do? And then I give them little tips, things to do. One client, I told her, I said, just take your phone out, and as you go through the process of doing this assignment, the searching that you have to do, just talk into your phone what you have to do. And once you finish, type it up because you actually just answered the question that your instructor asked you to answer. So that's one way that I help individuals. I'll give you another example. When I was in college, and there were individual women who wanted to come back to school, but they had so many people telling them, that why are you going back to school? And I know for myself, I've had people in my life, as I decided I wanted to go to school, that were not as giving in supporting me and saying, you can do that. So I literally had to go out and find those individuals. Now, though, that I'm able to coach others, I ask them that question. Who do you have in your life that can support you in this journey? And it may not be someone that's in your family. All right. So that's one. And I'm trying to right now, I'm trying to stay away from, because a lot of times we use as an example weight loss. Weight loss coaches are out there, but I have to share about this one. I met a because I eat pretty much for, oh gosh, so many decades now. I've been eating plant-based foods. And I met a coach finally who focuses on how to help individuals lose weight through plant-based eating. Well, that's amazing, because that's a coach I want to hire. That's someone who I want to work with. Why? Because I am constantly worried about my weight, but I also know that a lot of times when I talk with individuals who are weight loss coaches, that they don't understand the plant based, and they'll say things like, "Well, can you eat, chicken and things like that?" And it's like it's not something my body accepts. My body doesn't want that food. And so having a coach to be able to help me over those hurdles when I have those cravings, what are some plant based foods that I can eat? So those are goals that a coach can help with. Another reason is to help people to overcome obstacles and roadblocks that are holding them back from achieving those goals. A lot of times, imposter syndrome can get in the way. So, a coach will work with you around that or through that imposter syndrome. And what imposter syndrome is that you get all of this knowledge or you have experience, but then when you start doing it, you end up saying to yourself, "But who am I? Who am I to help someone with that problem?" And I've heard individuals say things like that. I had an individual who wanted to get was offered a promotion at the job, and she almost did not take that promotion because she said, "But I but I don't have my MBA. I don't have my, this and that." But the the what do you call it, executive and the supervisor are saying, "You are perfect for this. We've watched your work. You deserve this promotion." But the individual isn't believing in themselves to move up. And so that imposter syndrome sets in. Well, guess what? A coach can help you through that and over it and around it, whatever you want to go do to get through that goal, but to be able to get through it. And if it means knocking it down so that you don't see it again, that's what happens. But it's all in what your goal is. So that's another one. And then the third one is let's see, when they are at a crossroad and don't know what decision to make. I remember talking with someone who had a decision to make about whether or not to pursue a role that they wanted, or to do this other thing that was offered. And so they were getting so upset with themselves because they couldn't determine whether they should go this way or take this path, that they end up I found that they were frozen when I met them, and they almost lost both of them because they were so frozen in the decision making. And we call that decision fatigue, where they are analysis paralysis, where they are so stuck in making that decision, they're froze, that they are about to lose out on either one of these opportunities that have opened up to them. And so the person already knew me and asked for support around it and was able to make a decision. And that decision actually ended up being where the first route they took, they decided they didn't want it after they got it. And they wanted to find out, well, what do you think? Should I still contact the other to find out if the position is still, open, or if they still wanted me? And sure enough, they still wanted her. And she was able to take on that position. And then the last one I want to talk about today is to help them to figure out what it is that they actually want. When I hear someone say, "Oh, I don't know," that is someone that I know that is looking for help to figure out what it is that they actually want. And I'll tell you, even in therapy, a lot of times we'll say, a lot of times as adults, adults know the answer. It's just getting someone to ask you the right questions. And what those questions will do is that the questions begins to get you out of the off this hamster wheel of thinking of only the things that you can think of while you're under stress. And a lot of times new information don't come in when you're under stress. And because the brain right now isn't doing the thinking, it's actually trying to survive. And to tell you, just breathe, watch your blood pressure, make sure that you don't overheat, make sure you don't freeze, things like that, trying to make sure you take care of yourself. And so the thinking part of your brain isn't coming up with new ideas. And what a coach does is that a coach is able to ask you the questions that will get you moving in the direction of thriving, of being able to make a decision or think about what is it that I need to figure out and what are the steps that I have to take in order to do that. Okay. So if you are listening to this, whether or not you're in the chat right now, you are so welcome. If there's something you need a little more input on, clarification on, you can always leave a comment and I can actually take that information and give you more information on either one of those. And so to end this, I'm just going to summarize the four that I just went over because I think for tomorrow's live, what I will do is I will go over the other four. So number one is to achieve a goal that have been they've been unable to the individual has been unable to achieve on their own. Reason number two is to help people to overcome obstacles and roadblocks that are holding them back from achieving their goals. And number three is when they are at a crossroad and don't know what decisions to make. And number four is to help them to figure out what it is that they want. And so even though I went over those 4 today, just know that, I'm gonna come back to these 4, after I give the other 4, so I hope that you show up tomorrow for our live, it'll be at the same time, and then the next day, I'll go over also, if there are any questions that you have about the 8, reasons that you should hire a coach. Alright, with that, go take care of yourself, make sure that you stay hydrated, make sure you get enough sleep, and eat something that is so good that you smile and those toes start wiggling. All right? Take care of yourself. Talk soon.